New Orleans, Mayor Mitch Landrieu. Shout out to the mayor, Mitch Landrieu. I'm sure there's probably some other things we'll disagree on, but this is one thing we totally agree on. New Orleans has started the process of removing 4 Confederate memorials. They started as of today. They were dedicated in the era, according to New York Times, they were dedicated in the era of the Confederacy and in this aftermath. Leaders tried in 1981 and 1993 to remove them, but they failed. This was the workers dismantled what's an obelisk, which was erected in 1891 to remember the members of the, quote, Crescent City White League, which was an organization in 1874 that fought Reconstruction era battle. They fought against integration. They fought against, they fought, actually murdered people. This is the thing that stood out the most to me, that this monument celebrated people who murdered individuals who were fighting for integration. Between 1932 and 1993, the monument bore a plaque that said that the national election of November 1876 recognized white supremacy in the South and gave us our state. And actually, let's pull up that image. This is what it actually said originally. The United States troops took over the state government and reinstated the usurpers, but the national election of November 1876 recognized white supremacy in the South and gave us our state. This is what was up in New Orleans as late as today. So the monument began to be dismantled, and it's such a contentious issue in New Orleans still that, and I couldn't believe this, but the workers who dismantled it had to dress in flak jackets, helmets, and scarves. They had to conceal their faces and their identities out of concern for their safety. This is how deeply rooted the Confederacy is in the South. There's still three more monuments that are erected, that were erected in celebration of the Confederacy. I think a lot of times people kind of whitewash the Confederacy as heritage, not hate. That's the saying. There's really no way for you to look at these symbols and the people that they celebrate and the things that they stood for and consider it, okay, this would be my argument. If I had to make an argument, you have the same people who say that we should view the Constitution in an original form, not wanting you to look at the purpose of the Confederacy in its original form. It's not apples to apples, but it's the hypocrisy that jumps out to me, right? If we should look at America and treat America today as it was then how could we not look at the Confederacy for what it was then and treat it like that today? It's a cognitive dissonance that I'm just not going to let stand unchallenged, because you can't rewrite and erase and whitewash what the Confederacy stood for, especially when these monuments directly endorse white supremacy. And as much as people get tired of us talking about white supremacy, as much as people get tired of us pounding these drums, you have to understand that it is so systematized that it has been erected in monuments that have lingered, that could not be. They have tried 3 times. 2 out of the 3 times they failed because thousands, tens of thousands of people signed petitions to keep these monuments erected, keep them standing. But somehow we're not supposed to see the white supremacy that is enshrined in stone in the Confederacy monuments that are just now coming down. Mitch Landrieu said that the removal of these statues sends a clear and unequivocal message to the people of New Orleans and the nation. New Orleans celebrates our diversity, inclusion, and tolerance. This is not about politics, blame, or retaliation. This is not a naive quest to solve all of our problems at once. This is about showing the whole world that we as a city and as a people are able to acknowledge, understand, and reconcile, and most importantly, choose a better future. And I think that's probably where we'll end tonight, is that, like we've said before, like we've discussed on several occasions, not addressing the reality of your past neither erases your past, nor does it absolve you of your past, more importantly, it prevents you from going further into the future. And there's a great reticence, there's a great pushback from Americans to even come to grips with the lingering vestiges of racism, Jim Crow, white supremacy, and even the lingering vestiges of what slavery did to African Americans. They don't want to address it. They want to relegate it to the past. And not only relegate it to the past, they want to whitewash it in a manner that says that it's not hate, it's heritage. The reality is that we are not too far removed. We are still bringing down today monuments to an institution that was committed to the enslavement of black people in the United States. We are not so far removed from white supremacy and slavery. Let me strike. We are not removed from white supremacy, but we're not so far removed from slavery in the United States that we can simply ignore what it caused, what it did, and how it affected generations of people. And the best example of this is what's happening in New Orleans now, that they still are unable to they're still in the process of bringing down these monuments. But look at the city around it. Look at the poverty. Look at the schools. There's no public schools in New Orleans, all charter schools. Look at what's happening around that city, around the country. The lingering vestiges and the impact of slavery and white supremacy, the systematized nature of this racism is so embedded in America that we're still trying to get these monuments taken down.